revealing Chinese Hanzi or Kanji secrets through Japanese Kana. This is episode 2, well technically episode 3 in this series, and it's something that I've been wanting to do for such a long time. Now we're going to be using this updated tool that I built in Google Sheets. Now you can all make a copy of it. If you click on the link below, you won't be editing this exact one because the whole world working on my sheet is going to screw things up, but you can actually jump in and see how I've built this out. But today, what we're going to be doing is ka ki ku ke ko. This is the second set, so I number them. 0 is a, I, u, e, o. So 1 will be set number 1, which is, because you've got set 0, so the second in the series. And what I've done here is we can pull it up here, so ka, ki, and what you'll see here, a, I, u, e, o, you get a full listing of all of the ones in this set that we can draw from for this episode, and we'll be able to do it for each episode. So if we were doing mami mu me mo, you can see in the sheet, I just type in mi, any from the mi, and you get all of them in here from that set. Just to let you know, you can also look things up via kanji. Supposing you have this one, that's e, and you can actually e, o, ye, jiang in Mandarin, and you can see them both here. Or if you just wanted to look up a kana by itself that you weren't sure what it was, you can actually still use this sheet for it as well. So today we'll actually be looking at this one. And so this is the ka, this is the alternate form, as well as all of the others that are used in the Hentaigana to write ka. So we're going to actually be looking at all of these and more today. So let's get back to the ka ki ku ke ko, and we'll start with ka. This is a really important shape when you're writing Chinese characters. And I want to show you something about balance today. There are a couple of things. If we look at this first one, now this, we talked about the character for knife the other day. And so that's the top of the knife going down. And you can see this crossbar here, this portion is about 1/3 to 2/3. And that's the middle bar going down the center there. Now, you notice here, I've done something wrong. That is not balanced. What that should be is I need to have that coming across there, down there, and that should be around the middle line. And then if that's coming down there, that's more like it. If it's correct, it should be a parallelogram that's being able to be formed on about that angle coming up like this. Let's do this, except this time we're going to, rather than do it from here, the li, power, pushing the knife through means power. Ri, riki, I think in Japanese. And so what happens normally, you would have a brush stroke down heavy and then kicking down like this. And so that looks a bit wonky and it's not balanced. Let me try it again a little faster because it's really weird doing it slowly. So coming down, bang, bang, I kick up there. And then what happens? I'm pulling back there and it comes down. So that's this part of it. Normally, if I had a brush or a pen, this would start off heavy, coming in and going down light. And so this portion here would end up looking like this. Let me just do it here. This portion would end up coming down like that and then out like that. You'll see that in a lot of people's handwriting. And then this next portion. So we have a mouth, kuchi, ko, and that's the stroke order, 1, 2, 3. You notice that these are not straight down. A lot of Chinese writers will just think of that as a box. If they see it, it's not a box. This must be slanted down. This needs to come out, that there. And what happens when you start to get faster, that's going to join on there, and then that's going to join down there. And so that becomes the standard form for writing a box, or the word, say, pin, okay, to the point that sometimes it just turns to 3 dots. But just get used to this stroke, bang, 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 and it could even just turn to that. And indeed, if we have a look over here at this character here, so this is the common ka hiragana particle, but this is a Hentaigana, so it was valid before the year 1900 when they had the reform. And so if I were to put those two together now, this is what happens. I have this coming down here like this is coming bang, my pen comes over here, bang, and kicks out. And you can see that here. Oh, actually they've done a kick in, so they've come out there, bang, the pen actually kicks under. And some people might kick it back out there, but this version of it obviously hasn't. And so it's just gone down like that. And you can see now how that has led to the current form of the character, which is coming down like that. We have this coming down, this is coming there and kicking out like that. And that looks very much like the modern day ka. Notice how in many fonts you'll see this kick in. That is because when you originally did it with a brush and then, with a pen and you're doing it, you're actually getting this muscle memory kicking in. You don't really see it in this font that's being used here, but in many fonts you'll see a kick on this one. So that's a really important one. One thing I'd like to mention also about this is when you're doing a lot of the time in running writing in the cursive form, you'll see that just go down like that. And then that would then come across to here like that and bang, and it could come out. So that is actually a valid form of if I were doing it in kaishu form, this coming across that, and then a box across there. That looks a bit wonky. It's not really balanced, but you get the picture. It's this character here. So that's an important one. Another couple of important ones I wanted to show you. This is also ka. We have one going across here. Now in Chinese, you would know this is 可以. And so we, again, have this mouth component in the center, but watch what happens. There are a couple of things that can happen. I can have this here, and I have this going around and coming down like that, which then just basically turns into, I'm going to do a stick, bang, my pen's already got the momentum, and I come down. That's a fast form of it. To the point that it can just come here, and I've got my pen coming down, and I'm getting momentum. So that is actually a cursive form of this here. And so you can see that these two here were all derivatives of this ke or ka particle. But nowadays they actually ended up choosing this character, and so that's the main one. But if you were to write in Chinese, you will still see many people write that like that. So if I were writing 可以, ke coming down, around, and then this one here, bang, and then down. That's a very valid form of 可以, meaning to be able to do something. So these are fascinating. One last one that I'd like to talk about here, well, two, because I mentioned it in the last clips, but we can see this common stroke here. This is the character for I. In Mandarin and Chinese, or most Chinese, you get this character here. And so you've got this stroke coming down, this long bar coming across here, down, up, coming down, and stroke there, and then finally this stroke out. But actually, what you'll see in cursive writing, this is coming down here, this bar comes up here, that comes down like that, crosses over, and bang like this. To the point that sometimes we just say, look, I'm just going to do it there. We have a bit of a crossbar there. We're going to go down and bang. And this is the official cursive form for that character that you can actually see here. Okay, and then that looks eerily similar to the character above. That's because we get this squiggly bits here, basically squiggly left and right. You're going to see happening in the next character as well. So this is or, nga in Middle Chinese, meaning first person. Let me do that other one for basically jia, meaning a house. So that's this one here, a pig under a roof coming down like that. And so what happens is we get that coming down, this is down, and then we get squiggly bits on either side. And we learned actually mizu. This is the same part that we saw in the last clip as well. You see it happening time and time again. And so you end up getting a whole bunch of characters looking like that. You have to look for little tells. So this tell is the roof that you've got coming through here. Okay, I know that's come from this, where this one has come from this. Now notice here, there's a downstroke on this dot here. This is also something that you'll see happening a lot. In this portion of this her character coming down like that, down, and then this here and this like this, what you'll see is because people use the brush before and that gets done first, the momentum is down there. So what will happen is you get this downstroke going this way rather than this way. Then you have that coming out and that happening like this. So that character then could end up looking like this. Bang, 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 bang. And this top part, whereas in all of the kids' learning books, you'll see it go like this, but it's actually come down like that. That's very common. And again, you'll see it in this one there, coming down across, and that's exactly what's happened here. Okay, that top little dot there, which you can see here, has come down and done it across. So watch out for these little things. Put it back into your handwriting. I think we've spent a lot of time there. Let's go on to ki. So I'm going to type ki in here. what have we got? Bang. And here we have ki. This is the base character for the modern hiragana form of ki, which we have here. But have a look at this. We have two other forms which are in Hentaigana using for ki. So I'm going to show you what's happened here because we get the same stuff happening. Remember how I mentioned you have water, which was originally this, but then it turned into this basically stuff on left and right. So I'm going to call this portion, the portion stuff on left and right. This is a generic form. So what's happened in this character here, we have coming down like this, a stroke going like that, and then we have going down like this and stroke like that, and we have this stuff in here. Now, what gets done first? This would normally get done before this downstroke. So let's try that again. We got stuff coming down, stuff on left and right. We have a stroke like this. We have something coming down like this and under, and then like that and down. Okay, so that time I did this one first. The first time I did this one first, and you'll find that people will, it'll vary whether they do this big long stroke down first or the bit underneath. But then watch what happens. We have stuff on this side, that side, we're going cross, we're going down and there, and a kick. Now you can start to see this happening. So you can see in this one here, if we take this one first, that has gone down, down, across, up, down, and then this kick. So let me just reenact that character here. So we've gone down, down, across, then we've come down like this, coming up, and then we've got this coming, and then that goes and the dot there. So let's do it again. So we've got down, down, cross, coming down, up, down, and a dot there. But if we have a look at this one here, have a look what happens here. We've got two things on the side, and then I've got this coming down there and that coming across like that. It's arbitrary. Well, it's not really arbitrary. There are some standard forms for doing that. But in the end, what happened is these two things on the side and then coming down like this, turning into that, and then that kicking down. So basically what happened, I've got my left and right component here, and then I've got my cross beam. I'm going to do my stroke, and then the stuff down there, and not that. And that's where we get the modern form ki today, where you can see in this nice font is looking like that. But in many fonts, you'll see this is broken for this portion here. That's where it's come from. Pretty crazy, huh? But it's actually pretty cool because we're getting these now, they're almost like common strokes that are used only for the semi-cursive or cursive writing that you'll never get taught at school. One last one that I want to have a look at here that's a really important form is how we draw trees. So the way that it goes is you've got your crossbar here, you've got your top of the tree, and then coming right down like this, and then this would start here, and then this would pretty much go to that. And you can see they've followed these angles here. Now that's really bad balance. If I did it again, bang, coming down here, I've got a crossbar and a crossbar. That's getting closer. But if you have a look here, we've got this trapezoid. And I want you to have a look. If we were to balance this trapezoid out, and you have this sort of flat bit there, this area here is greater than this area here. And so this is going to be more concentrated than this whole area here. So when we're doing characters, this is one basic shape for kanji characters, okay? And you want to balance things out. So for example, if I were doing that one there and that there, you can see that that trapezoid shape is actually the mother shape that's going on in my subconscious when I'm drawing it. When I'm doing a tree, I'm also thinking of this trapezoid coming down like that. Okay, so my tree's in there, I've got this coming in here, there, but then to balance, because that's bigger, you can see I actually start my join here, but then it comes further out and further down there. And so you'll see that happening in people's handwriting. You've got that coming across, that, but then you get this offset here, but because this gets bigger and wider out this end, well then it balances, and that's what's happened here. This is very, very common. And so when you're drawing trees, you don't want to have it right on the middle. You want to get across, bang, going across, and then what happens then is you get something like that happening. Now in the word bun or moto, you get a crossbeam stroke, which happens here. So you could do it as a tree in that, but one other form is to do your big character first and then do this cross down there. That is a valid form of the same character. And notice when I did the big character here, big. Okay, that's one way you could do it. Other ways you can do it, which your Chinese or Japanese teacher will just smack you across the wrist. You'll see people do it like this, bang, and then cross there. That is actually a valid form. And then fopen could be like this, or moto. You will never get a Chinese teacher telling you to do it like that. At the very most, you might see them doing that. But I'm telling you, you will see this in handwriting. And you'll often see it alluding to that, maybe like that. And you see this coming up here. That's because they've done it the other way around. But you see this coming out here again. This is from this trapezoid that I'm telling you about. This is like basically how subconsciously native Chinese speakers have these shapes embedded into their subconscious, even if they didn't realize, just because they do so many character drills as a kid at school. One other thing with the tree character is basically, I mentioned this in the last one, that can come and join that. And so that would be two trees together. So we've got this lin character here. Okay, that is that. And then that can actually shorten to this. Bang, bang, I've got this. And believe it or not, that is the shorthand form for that, which is the shorthand form for two trees together. And of course, you can do sun, which is three trees together, just the same. Okay, so trees, you get a lot of them. They're actually a radical in Chinese. So get used to drawing this shape. Now you know the science behind it. Let's have a look at ku. Now we see these three. Now this is the original kanji character, jiu, meaning a long time or for a long while. The way that it originally goes is we've got a stroke down, we've got this coming down here, and then this here, and there'd normally be a bit of a kick down there. So what happens is, of course, it's too much effort to go there and then jump back up. And so what happens is that just jumps up like that, and then that comes down, and then that comes in like this, okay? Which then turns into this. You can see that comes down like that, and then that goes in, and this is where we're getting our shape for the current format. This part here is that part of our modern ku hiragana. So we've got this, and then if we're getting faster, it's going like that, and that basically is almost ku that we have today. So when you're seeing a character like this, you might see it go like that, or you just might see it go like this, which could just turn to something like that. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, something like that, which is basically the modern form of ku. Another thing I'd like to mention here is how to draw the number 9. Of course, that's another ku form in the Hentaigana. Your teacher may have taught you to do it this way, where you've got this coming through and that going down. But you'll see a lot of people basically coming here, down, across, there, and up, which then goes into the faster form of this, down and up. That is the fast form of doing the number 9. Okay, and you can see it here. They've actually done it like this. You see it started this way, going over, coming through and up. And that was an old form for ku. Okay, so I think that's all we'll do on the ku at the moment. There are a couple of other things there, but I want to touch on those in other characters because they're very repetitive patterns. Let's have a look at kaki ku ke. And here we have all the ke. Now this one, ji to calculate, ke-san, can I please have the bill? Or in Chinese, ji suan ji, calculator. What we have here in the modern kanji, you see this straight line down like this. And this is when we get into radicals, and this is a very common form. So normally that is from this character here, yan, meaning a word, or you in Japanese. So what happens is that turns into that, these turn into little bumps, and those turn into that, which then turned into that, turned into that, those turned into bumps, and that turned into that, which then turned into that, turning into that, and that went up, which in modern Mandarin, this radical is written something like that. I think basically like that. This is the modern form of doing that. Okay, so some of these 简体字, these modern Mandarin characters have actually come from the cursive styles of these characters. And so what happens then, rather than doing this character with all of the strokes like that, and then this across and that across like that, what happens is this whole side just comes down like that, and ji, that becomes ji there. So we learnt in the last one that we have the ren, which is coming from this character here, meaning person, hito. That gets changed to that, which could become that, okay? Don't get that confused with that. And there's one other one not to get it confused with, and that is this component here, the silk radical. So that turns into, or if you were seeing it on the side, you might see it like this. What happens with that? That turns into coming down, bang, and then comes up like that. So if I were to write the word for red in Chinese, we've got this as our side component. Normally you'd have this silk component on this side. And so what happens? That turns to this. You've got this coming up like that, and then I've got that coming down. That is the word, we call this hong, meaning red in Mandarin. In Japanese also, it would be read as red. But note that this silk has turned into this, not to be confused with this, and not to be confused with just that. This can also be confused for 3 drops of water. Well, not confused, because it's actually an official way of writing it. Now, these 3 drops of water, that's a bit wonky. Sandian shui in Mandarin, we call it. It normally goes 1, 2, and then 3. And you notice if you drew an arc like this, and basically you're getting these all shooting up to the corner here. That's how you do your sandian shui. So it's 1, 2, 3 up like that. And so, for example, alcohol, sake or jiu, you would get that. So then, as you're getting faster, sandian shui can turn like that. That turns into that. And then that eventually could also turn into this. And you see that this is pretty much the same as this. They ended up turning into the same thing. One you can see down the bottom here, they've still got the head on this one, and that left component looks like the modern simplified jianti component for this U particle. But again, it's all stylistic. You need to know the rules before you break the rules. So I hope that that has been interesting for you. Let's have a look at ko, the last one in today's series. This has come from this character here, ko, and there's not a lot to say on the original one. We've come across here, come down, this has come across, and that's gone up like that, which is basically turned to cross here, down, up like that, which is the modern form now that we get of this. You'll often see people not getting this balance right, not realizing that it's actually come from this. Notice that in the actual hiragana, this is on an angle, this is on an angle. That's because it's basically originated from that, coming down. And so you'll even see in some fonts that line there and this line leading on, because they were originally joined through that middle bar. So that's one thing to note. Another one to note is this one here. Because this is a pattern that you'll see a lot, and I think it's worth mentioning here. What we have is ku, meaning old, or ko, ku. You'll see, so we've basically got this number 10 on top, we've got a mouth on the bottom, okay? So that would be your kaishu form, 10 with the mouth on the bottom. But as we get faster, something happens. So first of all, this bar here would normally then turn to that, okay? So let's do that bar as that first. And then what happens here, we come across here, go around. But what happens, there's a lot of space between there and there. So when you're writing, this normally happens. That comes down, and so that actually joins this portion here. And so this character here, I'll do it up in this portion here, turns into this character here. And this angle then, even though it kind of doesn't look balanced, it does look balanced if you're used to this kind of writing. And so you'll often see this component written like that, or you might see it like that, coming down like that. So either one of those, you get the bump still there, or it can come straight down like that as ku, like ku dai, okay? So here in the kana form, you can actually see the Hentaigana. They've actually done that. They've come there, down, and across like that. And you get actually a similar look to this court form here, but it's actually come the other way around. this left stroke has come first, then the right stroke. But have a look here. You've got this same component and you do actually get that bar coming down. So that's come across like that. And then this portion here, actually that goes into another one I want to mention. So that's come down like that there, and then that's come in. Sometimes it'll even come down like that because this yo component here, which again, if you're doing this yo, that's a na stroke. Normally if you're with a brush, that'd be coming out like that and your brush would be sort of making this long bit here and then pulling up. What happens is I pull down, I pull up, and as I'm pulling my brush up, it kicks back. And so then that turns into that. And so what's happened, rather than yo, I've got this portion. Now this, if you ever see this, it's basically meaning to think, this component here. But the same principles apply to this portion, so it turns into that. So let's see what happens overall. We've got this gu coming over, got this coming down, and that is my Xingshu, or the semi-cursive form of that character. I'll do it towards the center. So coming down, around, coming out, and in. And let's see if that looks, yeah, pretty close to this one here. And that was an original character for this gu or ko. One last one, looking at this, let's have a look here, because there's so many lessons here. We looked at li. We had to bring it here and bring it down to this middle bar to bring it down. Well, here's another one that we see all the time. That comes down there like that. Notice I go flat here. I'm exaggerating this flatness here, but I want to show you how it has an effect on the overall writing. So what happens is I come across here, down, this comes down like that into the center, and then like this. See this here? If I were to exaggerate this in stick figures, I come down like this. This comes down, 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 kick back up. You can see this flatness here, and my muscles actually get these angles in them coming across here, and then I'm doing a figure eight across here, coming up a bit and kicking back in. So when I put all of these together, it looks like this. Coming down, bang, over that line a little bit, going flat, down to there, kicking up and out. So that is where this came from. So then when you join it together, it looks like this. So I've got my downstroke first, bang, and across. And that is where we get this. Notice a little bit of a bowing in this character here. So you see coming across again, just like this bowing in the top figure, there, and across. That is very common, and you'll see it in words like ski, okay, that there. So if I were to do that more angularly, it'd come across there, that's up like that, that's down like that, kicking back in like that. So now with those angles getting more subtle into my muscles, it'd be like this. Okay, it's a bit wonky on the brush there. Actually, this is my normal speed if I were to write that. Okay, hao in Mandarin, or ski meaning to like, or good in Mandarin. But you see this happening here. I can still see this flat part of the line, which is in the muscles there. That's a really good lesson to get from there. So kaki ku ke ko, set number 2 or set 1 if you're looking in the sheet, because I start them from 0. Kaki ku ke ko. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope looking at the Hentaigana is really helping you as well. It gives us such more depth into being able to see these transitional forms and actual cursive writing rules that are being forgotten in place in real characters that were used for writing texts in Japanese. If you want to find other cursive forms, you can write these characters here. So this xing or hang, meaning I'll write it in pinyin because you can actually then type it into Google. So that's xing. And then this one here, shu, so we've got a book coming down. Now, I see these. This is the fast form of that, and that's why we have it in modern Mandarin. So this is shu. So if you type xing shu while you're typing in pinyin, you'll get these characters, or you can, whatever character entry is that you can do in Google. But then if you type this along with any of the characters that you want to see the cursive forms into Google, and you'll see them. Just go to images and you'll see all of the different permutations of a given character. If you download my sheet here and make a copy, because you won't be able to use my version, well then you can also check them all out here, and you can check all the different kanji forms. This is a fantastic way to start. So here's the one that we did today. Ka, or this character, yo or u. You can see here, we covered that in the last clip, but you can go through all of these and really build the language into your body. This is also you can get the kanji characters into your muscle memory and develop a mature style of writing, something that's being lost even in the young generation of native speakers. I hope you're enjoying this series. Please share it out with anyone that you know. Something's happened with the YouTube algorithm. I stopped for about a month and a half. It's like I'm cranking up from zero again, but really share this out to everyone that you know who's learning that it might benefit Chinese, Japanese, if you're learning Zhenom for Vietnamese or your Hanja for Korean. This is going to be useful for you. Anything where you're doing brush strokes or things that used to be a brush stroke, this is going to help you. If you really want to learn, come and join Minecraft. My Minecraft program is a super robust program that's going to give you these skills to be able to master whatever language it is that you're learning, and you'll get the tech skills as well. Come and join in the Discord chat, scan the QR code. I'm Stuart J. Raj. I'll see you on the other side.